This is the Surly Grognards for March 23rd, 2015. This is Peter Bowman, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host, Eric Carlson. How are you doing tonight, Eric?
Wondering what happened to my flying cars and hoverboards. You lied to me, Back to the Future 2.
It hasn't happened yet. We still got months to go. So tonight we're going to be talking about a topic suggested by HypnoFun, one of our viewers.
Yep.
Who said, so we have all seen, read, and listened to stories that were told in multiple mediums. A prime example being The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And heck, even some adapted multiple times for the same media. How many Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoons have there been now? Of the stories you observed multiple versions have brought to audiences, what were your favorite adaptations and disliked adaptations? Where did they go well, where did they falter? And where do Eric and Peter disagree? Well, there have been a lot of them over the years, shall we say.
Yeah. So this actually is interesting, because just last night, I rewatched the old Flash Gordon movie from the 80s last night, for the first time in like 2 decades.
Campy as all hell.
That movie is fucking awesome. And I remember watching the old serials on, like, Channel 38.
Yep.
Like, way back in the day. And really enjoying those. But holy crap, that movie is fucking awesome.
Really fucking campy.
Yeah, it's like someone had like $35 and tried to film the ramblings of their D&D friend while fucked up on acid and meth.
I mean, it's gonna be campy. It has Brian Blessed in it. I mean,
yes. Hawkman, dive!
In all his scenery devouring glory.
It's actually really hilarious watching, like, whoever they got friggin' playing Flash is just, like, makes Keanu Reeves look friggin' animated.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
him acting opposite of Brian Blessed, it was just, wow.
You know, son, you could emote! What?
But yeah, that's a great example of two entirely different things, because it originally started as a comic book, which I haven't had the chance to read.
Yeah, me neither.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting how the movie, I'm not sure if this is on purpose or not, but seemed to try to emulate the sheer campy, ridiculous absurdity of the of the original serials, while still remaining earnest.
Which takes doing.
Yeah, I mean, also best soundtrack ever.
It's a good soundtrack. It's a very good soundtrack. I will agree with that. I can't necessarily say best ever, because Highlander soundtrack competes very heavily with it, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, Highlander 2. Not Highlander 2, the movie that doesn't exist, but
Highlander as well.
Also.
Yes. And there are other movies with phenomenal soundtracks, but anyways.
Funny, those two we mentioned both happen to have been done entirely by Queen.
Yep. Yeah, I don't like the Flash Gordon movie or the serials as much as you do, Eric.
Like I said, there's a certain degree of absurdity and earnestness that I really appreciate about both of them.
I don't dislike them either. I just they're fun, but I wouldn't call them great. They're goofy fun though. I can't. Part of my problem is that the guy playing Flash is a little too wooden.
I almost feel like he was doing it on purpose.
He might have been. I no idea on that point. But if he is, I think he. The problem is he needed to be more earnest and less wooden. You know, he really should have been sort of like your stereotypical sort of, true blue American hero, which is what they're going for. But he comes off as without personality.
He plays football against Ming's elite guard.
Yes, he does, and it's fantastic.
Which is
fantastic.
Awesome.
It's a hilarious scene and a lot of fun.
It's clear that everyone involved in that movie was just thoroughly enjoying themselves.
Yeah, pretty
Like
much.
the enjoyment of the staff and the cast of this batshit insane production that they're putting on is infectious and comes through the screen.
Yeah, I agree. It's an
Your
immensely
mileage may vary.
it's an immensely fun movie. Uh, I think we should also probably tackle the the topic, the work that was mentioned in the email, Hitchhiker's
Teenage
Guide.
Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well,
I know you're going to talk about Hitchhiker's Guide.
Well, we'll talk about TMNT also because duh.
Yeah.
But Hitchhiker's Guide. Okay, here's the thing. I have actually partaken of all 4 versions of it.
Damn, son.
Because it was originally a radio drama, then it was a book, then it was a BBC miniseries, and then it was a movie.
Yeah, I've seen the movie, heard some of the radio drama, and read the books several times.
Right. I have listened to the radio drama many times, read the books many times, watched the BBC series several times, and seen the movie twice.
It was it was an honest attempt. I'll say that about the movie.
Okay, so yeah, we'll get the movie out of the way first. It's not terrible.
It's true. And who played
Martin
Prefect?
Freeman was phenomenal as Arthur.
Yeah. Who played Florida Prefect?
Mos Def.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, Mos Def.
Who
He
could
was
have been...
actually... I was impressed. I was
was
not
too.
expecting much from him.
I did not expect him to be as good as he was, and
Yeah.
I thought they really should have given him more time to be Ford,
Yes.
because Ford is a fantastic character who needed more screen time.
Yes. Ford is kind of awesome.
You know, Sam Rockwell was a very good Zaphod Beeblebrox. Just the way they decided to do the 2 heads thing didn't work.
Yeah, because they got rid of that almost instantaneously.
Well,
They're like, yeah, we're not dealing with this. Remove one
his
of the
second head
heads.
is in his neck. Wait, what? No. Admittedly, it's debatable whether that beats out the way the BBC handled it, which they had a second sort of
the
animatronic
papier-mâché
head,
head, yes.
which broke. It didn't work very well, but they didn't have the budget to fix it, so they just sort of had it work very not well. Because it's the BBC, what the fuck do you
Right.
expect? But he was
More to the
good.
point, it's the BBC in the 80s.
Yeah. I mean, Zooey Deschanel was fine as Trillian.
Mm-hmm. She existed. She was there.
That's it. She was fine. Alan Rickman was inspired as Marvin.
Yes, absolutely. Probably my definitive Marvin now.
Well, no, the audio drama version for me is the definitive one. Unfortunately, not around anymore. So
Right.
same with the guy who did the voice of the book in the audio drama in the TV series. But they made up for that by casting Stephen Fry as a narrator, which is like, oh well, okay, it's Peter Jones is the definitive voice of the book. There's no question about that.
Yes, absolutely. When they animate some of the stuff from the radio drama, it's fucking awesome. I've seen a few of those on YouTube.
Yeah, but
And it's just-
Stephen
yeah.
Fry was really good.
Yeah.
He was really good. The problem was, honestly, the script. It needed a few more passes. The cast was perfect.
The direction could have used some work too.
Oh, the direction could have used, but yeah, the direction could have used some work. The script needed another revision or two, needed more polish.
The art direction was and costumes and all
right.
of that shit. All the technical stuff was good.
Yeah, as I said, the only niggling point either of us have with that aspect is probably Zaphod's second head thing,
Yeah.
which was just silly.
But like the Vogon are fucking great.
Oh, they were fantastic. I love the design. I love the design for the new design for Marvin.
Mm-hmm.
Although I also love the fact that they actually had the old body for Marvin from the miniseries.
Oh, right, in the line, yes.
In the queue, yeah.
I'm British. We queue. It's what we do.
And there's a lot of little wonderful little sort of uptaking things about it, but it's still the weakest of the 4.
Absolutely. Even though it does involve them being yarn puppets and vomiting yarn,
Yes.
which was hilarious.
Oh, there's a lot of great stuff in it. Absolutely. But the BBC miniseries was really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually how I discovered Hitchhiker's Guide, was watching it on PBS.
You know what? I don't even know how I discovered the Hitchhiker's Guide. It was just sort of something that's always existed, as far as I can tell, at least in my own personal history.
Right.
It's just always been there.
I watched it. I enjoyed it immensely. And then, since I enjoyed it immensely, my parents gave me a copy of the book for Christmas, which I proceeded to devour.
Yeah, I've got a big giant tome called the. The title is something ridiculous, like the
Increasingly misnamed Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy trilogy.
Yes, because it's 5 books.
Yes.
And yeah, that's my defining version of it. Honestly, is the book, because it's fucking brilliant and oscillates between happy, silly fun and crushing depression, much like everything Douglas Adams ever did.
Well, yes, that's because Douglas Adams had a very bleak and black sense of humor.
Yes.
I would agree that I think the books are the definitive version for me, but my preferred version is still the radio drama. Because I part of it for me is it's the one that allows Arthur to not be a completely incompetent. Arthur's too incompetent in the books is my problem with it.
I guess I can see that.
Like one of the big differences between very early on between the audio drama and the books is that you know the scene where Arthur lies down in front of the bulldozers in front of his house.
Yes.
You remember how in the books it's the whole sort of specifically. So the bit
how they
where,
decided to just roll over him anyway.
But yes, the argument about getting him to switch places with Prosser, to the guy who's leading the demolition crew. Mm-hmm. The argument in the books is Ford convincing Prosser to lie down for the bulldozers. In the audio drama, Ford tells Arthur he needs to get a drink. Arthur reluctantly agrees, and Arthur convinces Prosser to do it. With the same argument.
Okay.
And I think I prefer it from that point of view, because I think I think the argument, the way he does it, is a very uniquely British thing to do. And it fits Arthur's personality perfectly. It doesn't really fit Ford quite as well. It fits Ford well, but until you hear the argument coming from Arthur, it's actually couldn't imagine anyone else doing it, but it works really well for Arthur. And it makes Arthur seem like a slightly stronger character.
I guess I can see that. The fact that Arthur adapts so well, I think, is a big is a big check in his.
Absolutely,
honestly.
But
he sort of has this brief confusion moment trying to get tea, and then he's on board. Okay, I understand what's going on. Someone just explain to me what I need to do, and I'll take care of it.
Yeah, kinda. The problem is he doesn't do anything in the books really until you get to like the 3rd book, really.
Yeah, it's true.
Whereas he's sort of more active in the audio drama, which I think helps. But either way, they're both fantastic, so I can't really argue the point.
Yeah, and we're largely just niggling details here.
Although I will admit, I'm not a big fan of the 5th book.
I didn't mind the 5th book so much. It's definitely the weakest of them. And I sort of got the impression that Douglas Adams is going, fine, I need another paycheck. There, done. Everyone's dead. Over.
Yeah. I liked the ending. I liked how it ended with the 4th book, personally. I don't think the 5th book was really necessary. But, meh.
Yeah.
Although the 5th book did have the most amazing scene.
Which one was that?
The sandwich maker.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Arthur getting to be truly happy.
Making sandwiches for primitive screwheads.
It was a great scene. But, so I think we basically agree, that...
Yeah.
There's, that we flop on the audio drama versus the books. I think I think part of the reason I prefer the audio drama is I've listened to it more than you have.
Probably. That's almost certainly true.
And I'm
as much as I love the idea of radio dramas, I just can't listen to them.
Yeah, I
like that they exist, but they're not for me.
Right. Yeah, I adore them. I especially love stuff like that for long trips. where I'm not, if I'm like, if I'm on the train going to visit my folks in North Carolina, I don't, or even just like a long bus ride in town. I
Yeah.
like having that sort of stuff to listen to. I actually come to prefer to listen to music for that sort of thing.
It's funny because I prefer to listen to music while reading in those situations.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see that too. I like reading also, but the nice thing about the audio drama stuff is it means I can pay attention to where I am and I don't miss stops.
There is that.
Whereas if I'm reading, there's a good, especially if listening to music, there's a really good chance I might miss my stop. Not that that's happened to me before. Nope, never.
That hasn't happened to everyone ever anywhere.
Yeah. I get really wrapped up when I'm reading. I really lose track of time.
It's funny because I usually keep a couple books on me. One that I really enjoy, one that I can sort of half tune into while I'm reading, so that if something important happens in my vicinity, I can pay attention to that instead.
Ah.
So,
Coming. So I guess we should talk about TMNT also, because it was also in the
because
email.
it's been adapted 10,000 different fucking times.
All right. I will say this flat out. The best version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the original comic books.
I don't know, man. I like them, but the current Nickelodeon cartoon's pretty damn good.
I haven't watched that.
Plus the first movie from the 80s. That was pretty damn good. I like that one a lot. You and Roach and your friggin' original comic book Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of the original comic book either.
Okay.
I'm not a TMNT fan overall.
I think here's the thing. I like Teenage Mutant Turtles as sort of this as a thing. I'm glad it exists, and
absolutely.
I really loved it when I was a kid with the old '80s cartoon. But I find they work better the more they embrace the silly fun of it. Because it is a fundamentally ridiculous idea.
Oh,
I guess
absolutely.
the whole point behind the cartoon was, or the original comic was, making fun of the deadly serious Iron Age, everyone's a ninja thing.
Yes, and that's why I adore that's the one
Yes.
thing I truly adore about the comic books, is their brilliant satire.
Yes, and I love me some good satire, but as satire, yeah, it definitely works better. But as a standalone thing, I find that the movie from the '80s works best, and the current Nickelodeon cartoon,
Okay, I can accept
because they sort of embrace the silly ridiculousness of it while still allowing themselves to be serious and have character moments.
Yeah. There's an ongoing current Marvel comic book too, I believe. I think it's Marvel. It might
Right.
be Marvel, but there's an ongoing actual comic book, a new one.
Because there's always been a Teenage Mutant Turtles.
pretty much. From what I understand, Donatello just had his shell broken by Rocksteady.
Rocksteady was competent.
Bebop and Rocksteady kicked Donatello's ass,
Damn. I
and
always liked Bebop and Rocksteady.
and it looks like he might. It's debatable whether he's dead or just had his shell broken.
Right.
But yeah, ouch.
Damn.
Yeah.
Donatello was awesome.
Yeah,
He's
that-
not Michelangelo, but he was awesome. He was definitely my second favorite turtle.
So
And fuck Leonardo. Fuck that asshole.
All right, so, but we talked a little bit about the sort of how the original comic book was sort of a satire send up of the Iron Age comics and everyone being a ninja.
Everyone's a ninja. Wolverine's a ninja. Ramirez is a ninja. Your mom's a ninja. The Tick is a ninja.
See, that's where I was going, because the Tick has a better send up of it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. The
It's
Tick
a
is
funnier send up at very least.
It's a funnier send up. It does it beautifully. It works by itself without needing to
Yep.
understand what it's referencing.
Yes. So the Tick comic book is
Fucking phenomenal.
one of the greatest comedy comics ever done, if not the best.
I will agree with that.
I can't think of one that's better, honestly. It's funny. It satirizes stuff. It's a good comic book in and of itself. Like, it's good. It's a good superhero comic without being funny, and it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a comedy, I should say. And it has some of the best subtle jokes ever. In the arc where they're dealing with where they're poking fun at the whole ninja craze, which is The three
Move
it's a
along
three
just a hedge.
the three issues in the issue titles in order were Night of a Million Zillion Ninja, Late Night of a Million Zillion Ninja, Early Morning of a Million Zillion Ninja, or The End to All This Ninja Foolishness. One of the characters they run into in it is the Tick's parody of Marvel's Elektra,
Oh, right.
who is named Oedipus. And when the Tick says, Oedipus, that's a strange name for a girl, and her reply is, blame my parents.
Yes.
Which is fucking hilarious.
It really is.
When I first read it, it didn't hit me.
When I first read it, I didn't know about the Oedipus and Electra,
Right.
The Greek tragedies.
Right.
And heard about it later, read it again years later. I was like,
Oh my god, yeah.
I ruined the comic I was reading. I laughed so much I snarfed beer onto it. I had to buy another copy to finish the comic.
It is quite possibly one of the funniest jokes in comic books I have ever read. It is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant parody. And that whole arc, that arc in and of itself is just glorious.
Yeah.
Because it has Oedipus, who's fantastic. It's got all the ninja parody stuff. It's got Paul the Samurai, who's amazing.
It has the primary villain, whose name I can't remember, go on this big long diatribe about the oversaturation of ninja in popular culture and how now they're lame.
It's amazing. The Tick originally ran for, I think, 13 issues before it went on hiatus for a long time. Then Edlund came back and did some on and off.
Right.
The first 13 issues are so worth reading. If you can track down reprints, do it.
Yeah.
If you can't track down reprints, however, you can watch the cartoon.
You can always find an issue of the Tick, issues of the Tick, or the collected Tick in any reputable comic book shop.
You can.
I say reputable.
Yes.
Because ones that don't have it aren't comic book shops. They're terrible.
But even if you can't, for some reason, you can't get to one because you've been chained to your computer. Watch the fucking cartoon.
Or you live in Kentucky.
Watch the fucking cartoon.
Yeah, the cartoon's another... That's actually remarkably hard to track down.
I know, it's a crying fucking shame because it is
Yeah.
it is one of my favorite cartoons of all time.
It's a great cartoon. And I'm not sure if it's better than the comic. I think the comic's still better. But, wow, that cartoon's great.
They're different. They're just enough different that Basically, Edlund took the Tick started to take the Tick in a slightly different direction towards the end of the first run of the comic.
Mm-hmm.
But it started out more sort of more satirical, and the Tick's craziness was sort of more.
It was downplayed more.
The Tick was more insane and less stupid.
That's right. Yes.
And as it went along, he sort of blended the two, and he became funnier. And mind you, the early issues are still hysterically funny, but it's not. The Tick himself wasn't as ludicrously funny. It was more the stuff going on around him and his reactions to it. He wasn't being as funny himself. But
the cartoon does have like 3 of my favorite Tick jokes in it, though. The Thrakozod, Thrakelbob, Thrakelzod, Thrakadong,
Thrakazog,
Susan?
Oh, now you're just doing it on purpose.
That was hilarious. The whole arc where Arthur quits and the Tick decides that he's going to make a new sidekick out of a plank of wood with like eye screws in the side with arms dangling off, and his little wooden boy, and his and his interactions with this complete Arthur surrogate, just every second of it is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. What's your third?
Everything having to do with Chairface Chippendale.
Well, yeah. Well, Chairface was in the comics also and was amazing there. His Chairface showed up in the comics in a short story, in a one-issue story where Tick gets roped into fighting him by basically Dick Tracy.
Right.
Because Chairface is basically a Dick Tracy villain. Because he basically is a Dick Tracy villain. He's a parody of a Dick Tracy villain. It was a Dick Tracy parody issue. Go. Chairface Chippendale is going to write his name on the moon. Write his name on the moon with a giant laser.
Yes. The whole bit with his thug ice screw.
Yes.
He just unscrews his head at the end.
Oh my god. Oh, just all this, the wonderful stuff. The Punisher parody that they had in the cartoon.
Oh right.
Whose name is Barry. I can't remember what he called himself as a superhero, or as a superhero. The evil midnight bomber. What bombs at midnight?
Yes.
And quite possibly the greatest line ever. You know, beware the other head of science, Arthur. It bites. This is the first Dinosaur Neil episode.
Right.
The Tick cartoon was amazing, but there was even a third Tick TV show. There was a second Tick TV show.
Yes, the live-action one with Patrick Warburton as the Tick.
And it's good. It's really good.
It's not as good as the comic or the cartoon.
I agree with you completely.
Despite the fact that Patrick Warburton knocks it out of the fucking park.
Oh my god, he's amazing. He's the best part of that show.
Yes.
And it's a good show. It's a really good show. And I know people who will swear up and down that it is better than the cartoon. I think they're crazy.
I have to agree there.
But
we're agreeing too much. We need conflict.
I can think of. I know where we'll get to conflict in a second.
Okay.
It'll take us veering way the fuck off comic books, though. But it's but I want to finish just one with. Actually, we can finish up with the Tick here. We think we have praised the Tick enough because
basically anything involving the Tick is worth reading, watching, or whatever else you want to do with it. I mean, that's amazing. Your own thing, guys.
There's probably there's a Tick video game. I know that. I never played that.
I haven't played it. I don't know anything about it. I did not know it existed until just now.
I'm hoping it's good. Because the Tick is amazing and everything the Tick is in should be good.
Yes.
But the one I think we'll actually have some disagreement on. Starship Troopers.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I love the book. Mm-hmm. And the book can be interpreted a couple ways. There's the more common, like, endorsement of fascism and all its badness. There's the fact, if you look a little bit deeper at the fact that the the protagonist, Johnny Rico, makes zero decisions for himself and how that's a bad thing.
Yep.
So there are a couple interpretations of it. Either way, I love the book. The book's great. But the movie is so entirely different, and I love the movie too. I didn't at first. I hated the movie at first, but once I managed to divorce it from the book, which you have to do completely because they're not alike at all.
No, they're very different.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
You don't like the movie?
I hate the movie.
The movie's great.
Visually, it's stunning, but it's so.
Doogie Howser's a psychic Nazi.
Oh, it's so fucking stupid.
That's kind of the point, though.
It causes me pain, Eric. Like, I would not like the movie even if it wasn't called Starship Troopers. I'll be completely honest. It's like, oh my god, there's just so much about it. I'm like,
here's the thing. It's a Paul Verhoeven movie, which means it's a smart movie that tries really hard to be stupid.
It succeeds. It really succeeds, Eric. There's just too much stuff there. I'm sort of looking at it and going, why are the bugs a threat? Because humanity's fucking stupid!
Yes, the fascism is stupid, and you should feel bad for using it for a governmental model.
Oh my! Just like the whole scene with the where the Earth fleet gets bombarded by the bugs from their planet the first time. Fine, they went in too tight a formation one time. That's fine. That's a mistake that in theory, it's a mistake that's acceptable. They do it a second time! No!
Deviation from imperial doctrine is grounds for execution and excommunication from His Holy Emperor's light.
I did not like that movie.
It,
And
the movie's a great. It's great to turn your brain off and just watch the silly stupid of it. But like, if you start thinking about it, it's a Paul Verhoeven movie, and then it's insidious. Like the fact that little hints are dropped left, right, and center that everything that's happening is humanity's fault, and the fault of the government specifically, of this fascist militaristic government. Mm-hmm. That everything that goes wrong is all their fault. The fact that the only veterans are allowed to vote, and therefore only veterans are allowed to teach, propagates the system. You see that happen over and over again, and the consequences of that happen over and over again in the movie. Like from Ironside's character to the science teacher that's dissecting, which, for all intents and purposes, are implied to be sapient beings. Mm-hmm. And like all sorts of stuff like that. The fact that the great big victory cheer at the end, and it's not over the fact that they beat the bugs or that they won, is that the bugs are afraid. That's what makes people cheer. And yes, we've established that the brain bug is a sapient being. It's intelligent. It's it even has emotions that humans can understand. So what do? They do a propaganda film about torturing it. The movie is a brilliant indication of the more common interpretation of the Starship Troopers novel, and I love it for that.
Okay, I can accept that argument. I still hate it.
Also, it's fucking hilarious.
It just causes me. I think it's visually stunning. Verhoeven, what do you expect? I mean,
yeah.
And there's some bits in it that are really good, but there's just something about it that just doesn't work.
I totally get that, and I can tell, like, watching it once, it is not your kind of movie. It is violent, absurd, revels in its own stupidity. It is not your kind of movie. It's also my kind of movie.
Yeah, fair enough. I've tried watching it. Like, I have given the number of people whose opinions I do respect on movies that do like it. I have tried rewatching it. I've rewatched it twice.
Right.
And I've disliked it more each time.
And I can totally get that. Like I said, knowing your taste in movies it is an anti-Peter movie.
There's so much about it that I want to like too. Is a really funny thing.
It's the design is great. Wish they used powered armor, but I got over that years ago.
Yeah. Again, there's several things in there that I was like, the first thing you have to do is I agree completely. You have to divorce
it from the book entirely,
because it is very different.
Yeah.
But yeah. God. I mean, there are a whole boatload of books that have been adapted to both TV and movies or multiple times. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Do androids dream of electric sheep? There's a big one. Given that I just went on this big rant about how Blade Runner is my favorite movie ever.
Yeah, and
last week.
The movie's better than the book, the novella. As much as I love Gibson, it's not Gibson's best novella.
It's not Gibson. It's Philip K. Dick.
Oh, it's Philip K. Dick, right? I'm sorry. As much as I love Dick too. Why did I confuse the two of them? Their writing style's not even remotely similar.
Yeah. You know why? Because Blade Runner just oozes Gibson.
Yeah, you're right. It does. The movie oozes Gibson. You're right. And I think that's why I actually prefer the movie to the novella. Don't get me wrong. It's a good short story. It's a very good short story.
It's a great short story. I love it to death. And the short story is more of a mystery, and Rachel's a complete raging bitch in it.
Yes, she is. Dear God.
Like, she is the illustration of why it's bad to have replicants on Earth. Because she's a complete sociopath who understands just enough about emotions to know how to use them against people.
Right.
And I think it was written when Dick was going through a very messy divorce, because every female character in that is horrible.
Yeah. But I honestly think that as much as I do like the short story, it's one of the times where I actually feel that the addition of visuals really, really adds to everything.
Yeah. And part of that is it's Ridley Scott at the top of his game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's Ridley Scott at the top of his game when he's really like knows what the fuck he's doing before he decided to make Prometheus and Robin Hood. Two movies that aren't worth watching, just to let you guys know.
Which Robin Hood was the one he did?
The one with
The more recent
the one
right?
that was the more recent one where it's not with Russell Crowe, where it's not so much Robin Hood so much as let's have a big medieval fight on a beach because Robin of Locksley was that, right? I think it was just wanted to do a big medieval fight on a beach.
I've not seen that one, so I think the last Robin Hood movie I saw was was Men in Tights, probably.
Yeah,
and I saw
which
Prince of Thieves before that.
Awesome.
Robin Hood's another one that's had a bajillion interpretations.
Yeah, that and Dracula.
Yeah, dear God. I want to touch on both those, but there's one I want to hit first.
Okay.
Sherlock Holmes.
Damn. Yeah.
Because there are the stories, the books, the stories, short stories, etc. And about 5 billion different movies and 3 or 4 different TV series.
I'm going to tell you what my favorite Sherlock Holmes story is.
Okay.
It is Sherlock Holmes 2040. The cartoon.
I'm going to kill you now, Eris. No! Bad Eric! No biscuit.
But Watson has giant mecha fists.
It's terrible, Eric!
It's poorly animated, it's badly acted, there's nothing good about it, except for the fact that Watson has mecha fists. And that's more just because of the sheer absurdity of it. Why does a doctor have mecha fists? Why wouldn't he?
Oh my God. So I love the original. I love the old Sherlock Holmes stories. I grew up reading them. They're really interesting. They're great examples of writing from that era. Doyle did a brilliant job with them, especially considering that he wasn't a fiction writer originally.
I didn't know that.
He was a historian.
He's written a lot of fiction, actually.
He has. He's a historian.
Huh.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Eric, what is the other thing that everyone knows that most people don't know Doyle wrote?
Oh, shit. See, now you put me on the spot. I'm completely blanked.
I'm going to double check that I'm correct on this before I'm talking about my ass.
It wasn't Demon the Bottle, was it?
I don't think so, no.
I don't think that was him. Which is another great short story from around that era. Dorian Gray? No. You're just pulling shit out of your ass now, Eric. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He wrote that.
No, he did not.
I shouldn't have said that. That was Alan Moore.
Crap. I might be wrong. Damn it.
Uh-oh.
Oh, crap. Okay, I have to do a quick
Jekyll and
search.
Hyde? No, it wasn't Jekyll.
that wasn't him.
Yeah. Research.
Yep, sorry, I should have looked this up before I did this. I feel like an idiot. Alright, other works. Go.
You probably didn't write it. Whatever it is you're thinking about.
Could have sworn he wrote this.
Well, what is it? So I know what the hell you're talking
Land of the Lost.
What was it?
Land of the Lost.
Oh, shit.
The
Yeah, I
Lost
didn't know
World,
that.
yes.
He did write that? Maybe he did.
He wrote The Lost World.
Yeah. Yeah, he did totally write that, now
Yep.
you mention it.
Which I believe is what Land of the Lost is effectively set in.
Yeah.
Yes, the Lost World...
The Sid Marty Croft show.
No, Land of the Lost is not that. No, The Lost World's entirely different.
Yeah, the Lost World is where they find the plateau with the dinosaurs on it,
Right, yes. But he wrote The Lost World, which is one of the most famous it's a famous story, and almost no one realizes that it's Doyle. You
Yeah,
mentioned,
now that you mention it, like, yeah, of course Doyle wrote that.
right? Like, but God, there's just so many different variants. But back to Holmes, though, which is what I wanted to talk
Yeah.
about. Because you've got, as I said, you've got the original stories, you've got the old movies with Basil Rathbone
Yep.
as Holmes, uh, and various others. They bunch of serials here and there. There was the BBC series that was brought over to the United States for Mystery on PBS.
Yep, I remember watching that actually.
Starring
I
Jeremy
don't remember
Brett
it
as
terribly
Holmes.
well, but I remember it. But,
Starring Jeremy
yeah.
Brett as Holmes, who was amazing. There's the new BBC Sherlock series,
Yep, which is pretty damn good.
and there's also a series on one of the major networks here called Elementary.
There was also the Robert Downey Jr. movies.
Oh, the Robert Downey Jr. movies, you're correct, and one other incarnation. Which
Sherlock
is-
2040.
No, no, we're not counting that one. I shouldn't count this one either because it's equally stupid. There's another Sherlock Holmes movie that you're probably forgetting existed.
Almost certainly. What is it?
Young Sherlock Holmes.
Holy shit! Yeah. Wait a minute, that was a movie?
Yes, it was. Oh, there was
Sure
a
that
TV.
wasn't just like a made-for-TV like schlockfest.
No, that was a real movie. That was
like
in the
a
theaters.
theatrical release and everything.
Yes, it was.
Really?
Yes.
That made Flash Gordon look like a high.
I know.
Wow, it was terrible. The production design was. There was nothing good about that movie.
I just wanted to remind you of it.
like the costumes were just like they raided someone's grandfather's old
Oh,
wardrobe.
it's great. It's a terrible movie, and I actually hate it. I can only laugh at it. I do not. There's nothing I like about it. It's terrible. It's just like it's even a terrible concept. I mean, what? Oh, God bless me. But I do love the Holmes stories. I love the stories. I don't know what my my gut feeling is my preferred sort of version of Holmes is the BBC series from the like the 80s and 90s with Jeremy Brett as Holmes, just because Brett was so good. And
That's the one that sticks in my head whenever I think of Sherlock Holmes. Honestly,
and it was also brought back the concept of Watson being competent after Watson was a complete bumbling idiot in the Rathbone movies. But I understand why they did that. They were using it because he's always been the audience surrogate.
yeah.
And it worked okay in those movies, but I really like the fact that it's like, no, Watson is actually competent. He was a soldier, he's a doctor, he's brave, he's loyal, and he's not an idiot. It's just that Holmes is a genius.
That's what I like about the current BBC series. Actually, is
Yes.
that when shit needs to get done, you've got Watson to make it happen. The first episode where or was it the second episode?
That's the first episode. You're thinking of Study in Pink, right?
Where the
cabbie.
With the cabbie.
Yes.
Yeah. Where like
Watson gets...
Watson like takes a ridiculous like superhuman shot with a 9mm handgun from like across the street through two buildings, and it works. And it's like, then this establishes that yes, Watson is a fucking badass.
I really, really, really enjoyed that BBC series, and I've watched a bit of actually the series Elementary. It's not bad.
Mm.
It's set in modern New York. Holmes is he's from the UK, but he's moved to New York. The series starts off with him as a recovering drug addict.
So he was something of an opium assassin in the stories.
Cocaine, actually.
Was it cocaine in the
It was
stories?
cocaine.
Could have sworn it was opium.
It's cocaine.
Okay.
It's definitely not opium. He wanted it for a mental stimulant,
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
which opium is not. But yeah, he's a recovering addict in the Elementary, and Watson is basically assigned he's assigned sort of recovery helper basically after he's out of the program, and is played by Lucy Liu, which is kind of awesome.
That is kind of awesome.
Because I love Lucy Liu. I adore her. She's a lot.
She doesn't get enough work.
She's getting plenty right now. She's been in multiple seasons of the show.
Yeah, but like, I'm just thinking about the shit she's been in. She was the fucking best thing about that friggin' shitty ass Ally McBeal show. Like, she was great in that.
She was one of the best things in the god awful Charlie's Angels movies.
I forgot those happened.
Yeah, she was fun in them.
Why did you remind me that those happened?
Anyways, yeah, but yeah, it's not a bad show. The problem it has is that came out at almost the exact same time as Sherlock.
Yeah, and Sherlock
and Sherlock is so good, and this
Yeah.
is so pretty good. But it's fun. It's a fun show.
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment.
Yeah. You want to disagree again?
Sure.
It's TV series time.
Are we talking about Battlestar?
We are indeed.
Okay.
Well done, Eric. Well spotted. This one where actually I think we it's one of those ones we are never going to agree on.
Yeah, we're never going to agree on this
because I like the original Battlestar Galactica and can't stand the new one.
I like the original, but I really like the new one for the first 3 seasons. There's a marked drop off in quality after a while.
The news you say.
Because the writers suddenly realized they've built up this big, huge conspiracy they didn't have planned out, so they're like, we didn't expect to last this long.
That's one of the things I find most hilarious about Battlestar Galactica is, like, at the beginning of the episode, they mentioned the Cylons have a plan. No, they don't!
No, the Cylons have a plan. The writers don't.
Well, that's the problem, is because the writers don't have a plan, the Cylons can't have one. They have no idea what the Cylon plan is. No fucking clue. Now, I will grant, I watched the first season of the show, and of the reboot, and I didn't love it, but it didn't make me hate all organic life. That took the second season to happen. I hated the second season of that show.
What happened exactly in the second season?
I don't remember. I know the Pegasus episode happened in that one.
Oh, yeah. I like the Pegasus episode.
Oh, my God, I fucking hated that. Hated the fuck out of that. Mostly because it was the most blatant homily on, no, you shouldn't, on the way we're allegedly treating people at Gitmo.
Yeah. Well, there was also
enhanced interrogation. It was like, okay, guys, we know what you're doing here. You're not being subtle, and you're not doing it well.
I didn't find it so bad. I liked the what's the word I'm looking for?
Completely sociopathic crew of the Pegasus?
No, because they weren't necessarily sociopathic. It was just that they had lost themselves and become in attempting to survive at any cost. They've lost what made themselves worth saving.
You mean they went out and proceeded to continually prove the silence points over and over again?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because they completely lost themselves in that, and I liked that because for all the faults that the Battlestar crew has, and oh my God, do they have fucking faults?
Well, that's the problem. But after the second season, about most way through the second season, for me, I was rooting for the Cylons. And then the second season, then at some point I realized I was actually rooting for the heat death of the universe. Because fuck everybody, they all suck.
Yeah, they do kind of all suck.
That's the problem the show has, is there aren't any redeeming people. I hate everyone. They all suck. They all should... I
don't know. Leah Dama was actually a good guy, stuck in shitty circumstances.
Kinda.
There are a couple instances where his dad was a fucking monster.
Oh no, Lee.
Yeah,
no.
not Captain slash Admiral Adama, because I'm specifically thinking about the strike episode,
which caused me
where
pain, but
for friggin' Captain Adama proves himself to be a fucking monster. Yeah, I could not. After that episode, I could not look at him again.
I have two problems. I have simultaneous problems with that. Yeah, the levels the places he went in that were awful. The problem is he's not entirely wrong.
Yeah, it's true. He's not entirely wrong, but dude, you do.
They could have handled it better. I agree. The problem is
you do not threaten to space your chief engineer's family over a strike.
No, you don't. I'm agreeing there. The problem is that, okay, yes, the people who are striking and these quote and the civilian government are both like complete. It's like, okay, yeah, there's a reason things were under martial law. It's a good reason.
Yes.
The military is literally the only thing that's keeping you guys alive right now, and the way they have to run things this way because otherwise they won't be able to protect you at all, and the Cylons will kill you because that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, the thing on the other end, though, like the guys on strike have been working a dangerous, high-intensity job
absolutely
without a day off for years, with no recognition of as the sacrifice that they're making, and their kids are getting drafted into the jobs so that they can train them on the job.
Yep. Oh, I agree.
That's also terrible and horrible.
I
and
agree.
Shouldn't be happening.
I agree. I'm not saying, as I said, there aren't any good guys in the show ever, and that's actually a problem.
I honestly, I'm pretty much on the side of the strikers on this one.
No, I'm talking about the series overall.
Okay.
There just aren't really any good guys, and
Baldar tries really hard to redeem himself. And then he goes, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to have sex with my cult members, because I tried, and I failed over and over again, so everything I touch turns to shit, so I might as well just stick my dick in it.
Oh my god. I will say this, though, I stopped watching after the second season, and then randomly turned an episode on later. I don't know what season it was, I don't care. It's the one where we found out about who the actual other Cylons were on the ship.
I like the cover. I like the cover of the song that they played.
When they started, when it was revealed that this whole thing with all along the Watchtower was this whole sort of key to proving that they were Cylons, I started laughing uproariously. I could not stop laughing for like 5 minutes.
That was when I finally had to put it to bed that okay, the writers did not have a plan, because it was like, you have dropped 0 hints that Chief and Ty are Cylons. You haven't even tried to drop hints. Not even in the episodes this season leading up to it. It's clear you guys don't know what you're doing. Or it's clear that you guys didn't have a plan. And that was, that was the sign of it dropping off and not being good anymore.
It was terrible.
It's like, really, guys, Ty? Really? Colonel Ty is a fucking Cylon.
Of course he was. It makes perfect sense.
And he didn't drop any hints about this. He didn't have him and Adama misremembering things or anything else. It's like, no, you're going to take... Okay.
My other problem with...
I said, I liked it for the first 3 seasons.
My other problem with the new Battlestar Galactica is honestly the basic story that they have of the robots rebelling against humanity and such. It's been done better so many times.
Yeah, I suppose.
It's just I look at something like, okay, especially with
better doesn't necessarily mean it's not worth watching, though.
But the problem is it's not done well, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think it's a terrible show. I mean, the first season is watchable, but it goes way off. It drops off big time after that, in my opinion. But
I will say the first episode of the new season, was it 33, is an excellent study in suspense and the way it wears on people.
Oh, the first episode of the
yeah. Where after the miniseries when the show proper starts.
Oh, the one with the water motif.
Yeah, yeah, where
That's actually a really
Cylons attack every 33 minutes.
yeah, that episode, yeah, that one and the one with the where they're like, there's that episode is really good, and the one after it also with the dehydration problem or the
Yes,
water.
yeah.
Those were both, which was another sort of study in paranoia and tension. Those are really good. The problem is, as I was watching this, I'm like, these are great, but you can't sustain a show on this.
Yeah.
You can't. And it didn't.
But yeah, the show dropped off in quality because it became very clear that the writers did not have a plan and were desperately trying to pull ideas out of their asses.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean the first 3 seasons weren't good, and I didn't really enjoy them.
Oh, and I will reiterate, this is all personal opinion stuff for me.
Yeah.
It's like I can't cite. I am not a good. I'm not someone who's really good at citing. Like, I know what I consider bad writing, but I'm not like a scholar
Right.
in any way, shape, or form.
And I will say this: the characterization was consistent across the board.
Yeah, I give you that. I'll give you that.
Gaius was trying to do the right thing, but was a very weak man and gave in to temptation over and over again to everyone's detriment.
Yep, including his
Adama
own.
was a hard stoic man trying to hold it together, and would make horrible choices for immediate gain over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
The president was actually a pretty damn likable character. I like the president a lot. She supported Adama on some of his terrible plans, but she was good. President Roslin. I liked her a lot.
Okay, I guess I can see that. She didn't really do anything to me. She sort of bounced off of me.
Fair enough. Lee, again, another guy who's trying really hard to do the right thing, but circumstances all around him prevented him from ever being able to actually make a real difference.
Mm-hmm.
And Ty was awesome until he was a Cylon.
As I said, the thing that made me laugh the most was the fact that it was all along the Watchtower. I was like, really?
It was a good cover. I mean, it's not Jimi Hendrix.
I don't care if it's a good cover. It makes no fucking sense that it's all along the Watchtower.
Absolutely does not. That does not mean it is not a good cover.
It's a fine cover. There's not. I can't argue the quality of the cover. I can argue that it makes no goddamn sense.
I'm almost certain it was, this cover is awesome. I want to use it in my show. How do I work it in?
I know this will be the thing that all these people who are actually Cylons are sort of have that are to identify themselves to each other. Wait, what?
The final 5, right?
What? That makes no sense.
And here's the thing, I like the original too. The original was so clearly like desperately trying to grab onto Star Wars' coattails. Like, even as a kid, I realized this. Like, this is trying really hard to be Star Wars.
Yeah, except that it was darker than Star Wars. It's actually really.
They never really addressed how dark it was.
Oh God, they did. It's just that they don't beat you over the head with it the way they do in the new series.
Darkity, dark, grim, dark.
That's the problem with the new series. It is so dark that it's hilarious in retrospect. It's like, oh my God, no, the original series, like, go back, yeah, it's campy, but that's because it's the 70s. I mean, but if you get past some of the campiness, you start looking at it, it's like, oh my God. Like there's certain things there that I really wish there weren't there. Like the kid and the stupid robot dog.
The fucking kid, the robot dog. Even as a little kid, I was like, this is clearly meant to be my character, like who I like. I fucking hate you.
Yeah, they were annoying, but just all this wonderful little stuff in there that's like the whole the opening with the way that the human colonies get suckered by the Cylons, and the realization that just the sheer destruction you see done, and the way they imply it such is really clever. And really well done. And the Silence plan is actually interesting to pull it off. I mean, they actually have a plan to wipe out. Because they need a plan. They can't beat the humans in a straight up fight. So they resort to trickery and it wins. They basically pull a Pearl Harbor, except it works.
Right.
And there's all sorts of stuff as they go along, just this weird, dark shit that happens in the show. And the other thing is, I will admit, part of the reason when I was complaining about the Pegasus episode, part of the reason I complained about that is the Pegasus episode in the original series is so good.
I don't remember the Pegasus episode at all, to be perfectly honest.
Well, they stumble across the second Battlestar, the Pegasus.
Right.
And it's another crew that's been sort of out on their own surviving. It's not as dark. Basically, the Pegasus, the crew of the Pegasus aren't, haven't devolved into savages, effectively. Which in the new series they aren't savages. They're just
no, they're just they're certainly not savages.
But
they've
are
definitely gone and taken the dark side option for survival.
Way to the dark side. But so they're saying that they realize that they can consider actually fighting back occasionally now because they have enough firepower now they can. And Baltar, who's a gloriously campy villain in the series, I will admit that I think the change to Baltar was simultaneously brilliant and infuriating. Because I really enjoy the old series Baltar, but I understand why they've had to make the change. Because it would make no fucking sense in the new series for the way they structure things for him to be a collaborator.
Yeah.
And be working alongside them all the time.
Because the Cylons, he does end up briefly as a collaborator, but it's more because we have a new colony. Awesome. We will elect Baltar to be our president. Awesome. The Cylons show up. We will murder everyone unless you agree to do things our way. We'll also murder you. And everything you like. Okay? That's a lot of murder, and we're totally willing to do it. Okay?
Right. But yeah, so the big thing though is that eventually they get jumped. Our ragtag fleet of heroes get jumped by Baltar. Basically gets permission to bring in 2 extra base stars. So it's 3 base stars against the 2. Jump them, and they're like,
right.
Oh, fuck. And so the captain of the Pegasus basically said, he basically does a suicide run and just dives at them. And he basically makes a beeline for the one in rear, assuming it's Baltar. Because of course it is.
Of course it would be Baltar.
And so he goes diving between them, basically firing all guns blazing, and it's a beautiful sort of last man on the bridge moment type thing. Except that it's an entire starship of crew willingly making that sacrifice. And it's just such an epically, oh my god, that's amazing moment. And it ends with just these huge explosions and no one being entirely certain of who's dead and who's alive, because the Galactica and the human fleet basically are running for their lives.
They're jumping the hell out of Dodge, right?
So it's like they're fairly certain the Pegasus went down. They don't know if they got Baltar, but they probably took out the 2 other base stars. And it's one of those, wow, that's a powerful moment. And it's one of those things that the new series just lacks for me. It never has any moments.
Here's the thing: that you have the leadership of the old the thoroughly corrupt leadership of the old Pegasus gets booted. They're like, okay, you guys are bad. Are bad. So those of you that were not executing for war crimes are going to the brig. The crew that weren't in on it turn out to be good guys, and they give Lee command of it, and they go to New Caprica. Mm-hmm. They pull a similar thing in when they liberate the New Caprica.
Oh, okay. See, that's probably when I'd stop watching.
It's Lee in charge, and I forget exactly how they get him off. But if I remember correctly, he's literally dragged off the ship by his crew.
Okay. Well, I'm sure
it's also the episode where Adama jumps the Galactica into atmosphere to hot drop a bunch of Vipers, which is just a fucking awesome scene.
Okay, I'll say this: the cinematography of the show is generally very good.
Yeah.
Although they're a little bit too fond of shit. Actually, no. Correction. The space battles were often a pain in the ass to watch because they were using shaky cam in space battles. Fuck you.
I kind of appreciate what they're trying to do because they're trying to do the whole combat camera thing, drawing heavily from actual combat cameras mounted on
I know.
fighter planes during dogfights. So I kind of appreciate what they're trying to reference. But yeah, I can totally see how it would just like completely grate on certain people's nerves.
Well, the problem is shaky cam literally gives me a headache. So,
And I totally understand that. It doesn't give me a headache, and I feel I've seen it used to good effect. I've also seen it overused for no good fucking reason.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Man of Steel.
They're also over fond of these sort of panning around in a circle shot in Battlestar Galactica, the new series.
Yeah, but that was clearly because they got new camera equipment. It was like, wee, look at what we can do.
Yeah,
At least that wasn't the opening scene in Irreversible.
I'll admit, the way they did sort of panning camera stuff in the ship, especially the circle pan, the constant circle pan got tiresome and occasionally made me dizzy.
Right.
But it's like they watched Sorkin, they watched The West Wing and Sorkin's love of moving cameras during scenes, and said we should do that all the time. Because Sorkin would do that sort of circle pan occasionally in scenes, and then would stop,
Right.
and then go back to normal cuts. And there are all the 5 billion scenes of the walking and talking in The West Wing, where people are walking down hallways through rooms, and the cameras start panning and following them as they're going.
Well, to be fair, at least not J.J. Abrams' fucking lens flare.
Yes.
Like, fuck you, J.J. Abrams.
All right. Before we go, Azul has a question I do want to. And Azul in the chat has a question which I do want to answer.
Okay.
Try to give a shot at answering. Azul in the chat asks, how would you go about running or playing a tabletop game during a road trip? Have you either done this or heard someone trying this?
During a road trip, I haven't done. But I have done it on camping trips.
Yes.
Which isn't quite the same.
Nope.
Except that you're hauling a lot of extra poundage in books.
Right. All right. I sort of did once. I did something like I did basically run a sort of mini D&D game one year. During a couple of when I was working as a camp counselor in an overnight program. Which was up in New Hampshire. There was a couple of weeks with a couple of the groups of kids. I actually I was a counselor and I was riding in the van. I was in the van that was going up with them. And the van, we used the same vans to travel to and from various places. Like to the lake to go swimming, to the mountain to go hiking, etc., etc. Right. And this group of kids knew from the previous year that I was into role playing games and such, and before we left, they asked me, if I was, before we left, they asked me if they wanted to play D&D, and I'm like, well, it'd be tricky to play it in the car. We won't have time at camp really. They're like, well, they said, could you try doing something in the car? I'm like, okay, I'll try to do something, and I basically just did improv sort of quasi diceless D&D. No dice or anything like that. And they were, these are kids who were like, in third grade. So I mean,
Right.
And I'm, I was in high school at this point. So I think it was either late high school or early college. I forget which. So they were completely trusting of me being fair, with there being no dice. And
Those are trusting third graders.
Well, they were trusting.
I didn't trust anyone who was in third grade.
They trusted me. I'm so trustworthy, Eric.
Uh-huh.
Would you trust me to run a diceless game, Eric?
I wouldn't have a choice if it was a diceless game, now would I?
Would you trust me to run a diceless version of D&D where I would actually adjudicate things in ways
Yes,
I thought were fair?
I would trust you to do that, but that's because I've known you for over a decade.
Fair point. But that worked with that group of kids, and it was silly, goofy fun, and it wasn't like But that said, I think you could actually do it with either a diceless or rules light system.
I'd also suggest, if everyone's got tablets or smartphones, you can download a dice rolling app.
Absolutely, you could do it if everyone has that sort of thing. There are plenty of apps that you can use to actually basically play D&D without actually, a
Rolling
table,
dice.
without rolling actual dice.
Or you can totally just ghetto it and like have like a food container from like wherever you stop off for lunch on the way and roll your dice in there.
But yeah, I would actually honestly recommend, ideally, a rules light system. Rules. D&D might be a little bit tricky, but there are a lot of systems that don't require a lot of rules and a lot of dice that I think would work fairly well.
Yeah. And yeah, with all the crazy, super awesome future tech out there right now, that I do not have, it's actually a lot easier now than it has been in the past.
Yep, that's definitely true. But I would say, yeah, honestly, you could do amber diceless in a car on a long road trip, no problem.
Yeah.
The only drawback is you'd have to pass a fair number of notes, so the driver couldn't be the game master.
Or you could if you don't want to live.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I definitely think you could definitely do it. So I would definitely basically your obstacles would be the fact that you're not gonna have a lot of good surfaces to roll dice on. You really can't do combat maps short of basically having a tablet you pass around, I guess, or something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to do anything with a map on a road trip. Nope. Like I would actually like avoid anything that requires a lot of mappy stuff.
But like a system like Feng Shui, you could probably do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Feng Shui would be like probably ideal. Because even if you are reduced to like rolling actual dice, it's just 2 dice, and the d6s, which like are everywhere. So.
Yeah, honestly, actually, thinking on it, I mean, you can even get, like, if you want to make sure dice don't go anywhere, if you want to roll d6s, you can get one of those, like, the dice popper things that they had in some old board games.
Oh, yeah, totally. Absolutely. And I know there are companies that make, like, little, like, shaky things with dice in them that you could use also.
Yeah.
Although I've never had them roll terribly well. But
yeah.
And of course, yes, as well, of course, character sheets.
Well, yeah. But I hope that answers your question, Azul. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah. It's doable. We haven't done it, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, I
just avoid doing anything that requires large amounts of dice or different types of dice. So I probably wouldn't do D&D. I certainly wouldn't do Shadowrun.
Yeah, Shadowrun, World of Darkness, Champions, Hero System, all right out.
Yeah, just too many dice and different types of dice. Unless, of course, you're going with the crazy, super awesome Star Trek tech.
Right.
Yeah,
using
where it's all on smart devices and the like.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that, then awesome. You do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. All right, so that's pretty much going to do it for this week, I think. Though we could definitively go on longer about various things that have been retold over and over again in various media.
We never did do Dracula.
Yeah. Or Frankenstein, for that matter.
Or Frankenstein.
Frankenstein's easy. It's the book. Followed probably followed somewhat closely by the original movie with Boris Karloff.
Followed by Young Frankenstein.
Followed by Young Frankenstein, which it's Dracula. Probably.
I have to go with the old Hammer Films Dracula movies.
I can understand that argument. I'd still probably lean towards the actual book.
I guess
it's an okay book. It's not as good a book as Frankenstein is the problem.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem. It's not the prose from that period tends to grate on my nerves a lot, but Frankenstein's engaging enough that I can deal with it.
Yeah, I totally get that. Actually, that's sort of the problem. Almost none of the Dracula movies or books or anything like that have been actually particularly good.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder why it keeps on getting adapted.
I don't know. Vampires are sexy.
Except for the Hammer films where, like, friggin' Christopher Lee's Dracula is, like, he's probably closest to the way he is in the book, honestly.
Yeah.
where he's just a horrible monster that play acts at being a good guy.
Well, it keeps getting remade at this point because Blame Ann Rice.
Yeah. And now Twilight. Fuck you, Twilight.
Those aren't vampires. Those are sparkle demons.
It's... You know what? I'm okay with the adaptation of vampires the way she's done it. The vampire is such a beautiful monster in the first place. Okay, cool. If you want to do vamps that way, cool. I get it. I have so many other problems with the Twilight series that go way beyond just
absolutely,
vampires.
abso-fucking-lutely.
That makes them just vile fucking things.
Yeah. At any rate, though, we should probably wrap things up here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching and listening. We hope you all had a good time. Hope you found at least something interesting or useful in the show tonight. We'll be back next week with some damn fool topic.
We'll figure something out.
Yep, as we always do.
About 10 minutes before the show, as we always do.
Anyways, guys, as you see, we like trying to save a little bit of time at the end of each show for viewer questions. We didn't get any in the mail this week. But
No, I thought the one we got was in the email. We didn't get any on the forums.
No, I'm getting to that. That was a show topic suggestion.
Okay. Oh, questions. Okay.
Yes. Viewer questions. We like getting it. We like trying to save time at the end of each show. We sometimes get them via email or in the forums. Our email address is surlygrognards@yahoo.com. surlygrognards@yahoo.com. Additionally, you can post them on the forums, which you can find at mechagm.forumer.com. There's a section there for Silly Grognards and such. If you've got feedback for us, constructive criticism, ways we can make the show better, etc., etc., we love getting that. We find it very useful. We want to know how to make the show better, so let us know. And if you've got show topic suggestions, we really love those.
They make our lives so much easier.
So you can either email them to us or post them in the forums. We love them. We use a lot of them, so...
Yeah.
On top of that, so if you got questions, suggestions, feedback, etc., either one of those two places are great. We love getting them there. We record the show every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern here on twitch.tv/mechagm. When the show's about to go live, I tweet it out, so you can follow my Twitter. My Twitter handle is @mechagm. You'll see when I'm posting that the show's about to go live. If you're listening to us on YouTube and enjoy the show, please feel free to hit like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. It helps get the show out to more people. If you know people who might enjoy the show, let them know. Spread the word, pass the tapes, etc., etc. You know the deal. Keep circulating the tapes. Not that they're actually tapes.
Wow. Okay. It's that poor old bootleg copy of Akira finally broke. Which is how us old fogies remember watching our anime.
Yeah! Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week, hopefully. Take care and have a wonderful evening. Till we see you guys next. Be happy, be safe, keep on gaming. Bye, everybody.
Bye, humans.